Hello and welcome to Unconventional GMs, our series where we run games with pace, vim and vigour to show you how you can do an exciting one-shot of a game in 2 hours. Neither me or Gaz are the unconventional GM of this session though. That honour is passed to Ben. Ben, would you like to introduce yourself and then we'll go around and introduce everyone else as well?
Sure. Hello everybody, I am Ben. I have managed to pack 6 or 7 minutes of high quality content into the next 2 hours. The rest of it's up to the players. Today, we're going to be playing Ironsworn. I should hold it up for the viewers at home. This is Ironsworn Starforged, to be specific, the science fiction sister to the original Ironsworn. It's written by Sean Tompkin, illustrated by Joshua Meehan, amongst others. Our science fiction game tonight, think moody sci-fi with exploration, discovery, and your connections as the main pillars of play. If you've seen Mandalorian, you're all over this. If you've seen Andor, you're even closer. A couple of the unique selling points about this game is a great deal of it is about swearing iron vows. And all that really means is that the players' characters have specific reasons to go out there and do stuff. So you're not going to see any turtling tonight. This is an unconventional GM game anyway. There's even less reason to do that because you are sworn to do something interesting. The other thing that Ironsworn Starforged does is it enables solo play, co-op play, and guided play. Tonight we're playing guided with me as your guide, which means that there will be a few things that perhaps you don't see, which is necessary in a one-shot. There's a whole bunch of experience points and character generation, and we've already talked about lines and veils as well. So we've got a few things that are set up before we start playing today. And this session will probably be a little bit more plotted than is typical for Starforged, just because of the chains of the format that we have. Now, one of the rules of the game is that any of us can set a flag at any time, which is a safety tool, which we always incorporate into our play. But you're going to see a PG-13 style action movie. There may be some swearage, but it'll be fairly low level. And that's enough from me for now. Let me introduce you to the players and their characters. So for today's session, we start with my co-host on What Would the Smart Party Do, the ineffable Gaz.
Hello, everybody. I am indeed Gaz. And apart from the What Would the Smart Party Do podcast, I also write a few things. I do a bit of editing, a bit of play testing, all kinds of stuff game related, and I'm known probably as a convention GM. Tonight, I am playing the Fugitive Hunter Deadeye. If you think Mandalorian, perhaps an old set of Mandalorian armor that's been chewed up by the Sarlacc and spit out, and most of the paint's come off. So you can see bits of it in the scars and the crevices, but apart from that, it's got a brushed steel kind of look. The survivor of a war calamity, got a faraway look in his eye a lot of the time. Armored, strong in terms of wits and just heart, even if not physically strong because of old war wounds and such like that. But a kind of de facto leader of the group.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, Gaz. Moving across to my screen, it may not relate to your one, we have as well a good friend of ours, Shane.
Hello, everybody. My name is advertised as Shane. I am not a podcaster nor YouTube personality. I just like playing cool games with cool people. Tonight, I will be bringing Callsign Hush, an exobiologist, a lore hunter and naturalist, to play. As having escaped from an unjust situation, Hush is accompanied by her glowcat, a strange alien animal whose fur changes pattern and colour based on the emotions around, and is obsessed with uncovering new discoveries.
Very cool indeed. Thank you, Shane. And our genial host, you've already heard from him once, let's hear from him again, it's Guy.
Hi everyone, I'm Guy. I'm apart from this, I do the Burn After Running blog about one-shot games and other games as well, and do other sort of appear on podcasts, do gaming, shiz generally. Today I'm playing Splinter, a battlefield medic, sort of middle-aged woman, experienced soldier who was set for a glittering career in the front lines, has seen a lot of action, but has been on one too many operations, has seen the horrors of war, and so has decided to go freelance and to concentrate maybe on fixing people and things instead of killing them for a little bit. So has rejected her destiny as a career soldier. She's got a sort of weathered face, deep eyes that have seen terrors and horrors with a scar across it, and her left arm is covered in nanobot scars from where it's been reassembled hundreds of times in the field. So yeah, just a support character really. She's also, I think ended up the engineer of the group as well, because putting together people and putting together machines is sort of the same. We'll see how that goes during the game, I guess.
Okay, thank you. And to my right, Jag.
Hello, I am Jag. I am a player of role-playing games and occasionally organizer of gaming conventions. Tonight I am playing Arnav Mittal, aka Mimic. He's a dusty, middle-aged Tomb Raider. He sports a well-groomed beard and mustache, which frame a rather weathered, sun-spotted face. Carries a squinty frown in anticipation of desert sun, making him partially blind to what's around. On closer inspection, it's clear that he's probably touched up the edges of that with some kind of mascara to pronounce his features and to make his eyes look that bit more piercing. In truth, it's just a weak disguise he's adopted to keep incognito from the ones he's left behind. His former band of brothers, partners in crime, that he's left in an awkward situation on a distant world, and he's sure is after him. His new friends know nothing about them, and they trust him implicitly.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Right, we have our players. Let me give you the setting. So we are playing in the distant far future when humanity has roamed across the stars and has actually got to the stage where it's had to flee something terrible in its home galaxy. And for now, you're all adventurers in the Forge, this area of space which is humanocentric. Feel-wise, it's going to be a bit retro future. So again, if you think of like the classic Star Wars stuff, you won't be far out at all. Or you might think of stuff like Arrival, or there's a whole host of stuff that will come from this. And as in any Ironsworn game, our players will be narrating almost as much as I do. So don't be surprised if things happen that none of us know is going to happen. For now, you are all 5 of you on your starship. The 5th one, being the other member of your team, his goes by the call sign of Slack. He is your monster hunter. He's a big guy with all the weapons, and he is currently fast asleep because he pretty much spends any kind of spaceborne journey in his hammock, snoring away, recovering from the battering he probably got on your last bounty. Ah, bounty, you say? What's that? Well, you're all bounty hunters. Led by Deadeye as your captain on your good ship Lodestar. You've all served together in the past. You're a reasonably accomplished crew of bounty hunters, and at the moment you are pursuing a fugitive through the space lanes of the Cortana Tide system. You're hoving to on the planet Morricone, which is where you know that your fugitive has fled to, having gathered all kinds of information in the past from various sources to get you here. It's been a long journey. You are in the backwaters of the galaxy at this point. And I think Deadeye will be in the cockpit. I'll check in on that in a second. But you can see the bleached white pearl in the sky of the planet Morricone growing larger and larger in your front view screens as you approach the planet. You're coming in towards atmosphere, so you're going to probably flick off the autopilot. Deadeye, you're in command. Everyone else is arranged around the ship in all kinds of places and positions. But what are you doing, Captain?
I'll be giving everybody a quick brief pep talk, as is my want. Just saying, you all know your jobs. I don't need to tell you what to do. Keep your eye out. There's always a twist to the tale on this one, but I have faith in you all. And then I'm going to be setting off passive and active scanners to check for any kind of tracking that might be on us, any active sensors that are pinging us, any orbital mines that might have been laid by our person we're pursuing, or anything like that.
Okay. Right, then you set your automated systems to work on that kind of stuff, going through your standard operating procedure. There's not much coming back from Morricone. It's pretty much a dead world. It is known for its expansive salt dunes, dried up seabeds, petrified forests, but really not much in the way of natural resources as well. A perfect bolt hole for a fugitive on the run. What about the rest of your crew, Deadeye? Who are you going to check in with first on the comms?
I guess it's going to be Splinter, given I know that Splinter can be a bit twitchy, given what's happened in the past in the wars. I've been there too.
Splinter, where are you and what are you doing?
I think I'm in Medbay, which is, I imagine our ship of our design is sort of mainly designed for keeping bounties alive, and occasionally like stopping us bleeding out. So it's sort of a couple of beds, makeshift in one end of like the engine room, with like a little doctor's cabinet with loads of hypos and drugs and stim packs and things in it. And I'm just sort of laying out. I know we're going to have to go to that planet soon, so I'm just sort of laying out my kit of equipment that I'll take down in my doctor's bag, and just seeing what I've got in there. Just doing the sort of everything's laid out exactly just so. Going through the habit to try and calm my nerves before we enter the atmosphere.
Excellent. Okay. You get a little ping over your comms. It's one of your crewmates. Let's see. Is it Mimic coming through, or is it Hush? Who's that calling through to you just to check that everything's going all right?
I think it's probably Mimic who's calling through.
Nice.
Yeah, Mimic's in his quarters. He's already triple checked his pack, set everything up in that, put it aside. He's quite comfortable that everything that he would normally take on one of these missions is in order. He's dealt with that obsessive compulsive behaviour before he sort of turns to his face and reapplies his vanity routine. He does that kind of fairly routinely, and picks up the intercom to call through to Splinter and just checking in. How you feeling? We're nearly there. You in good shape? Everything's going to be all right, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Roger that. Just got to get my preparations on. You okay?
All's good. If you need anything, let me know. I've got backups, spares.
Yeah. Check in on Hush. Check he's doing okay.
Roger that. I flick a switch and the familiar kind of pang of changing channels goes as it rings through to Hush's comms. It's Mimic here.
Yeah. What's up, Hush?
Everything's glorious. We're approaching our destination. Everything good with you?
Yeah. I'm just sat here enjoying the drive. And we see Hush is sat cross-legged up against a bulkhead in engineering, staring at the almost hypnotic lights on the main reactor and the Eidolon drive, just idly ruffling the fur of Pearl, the glowcat. How long have I got?
Should have about half an hour or so.
Right, I'll get my kit ready. I've done a bit of research on the biomes here. There's not a great deal to know, but we might find something valuable along with the quarry.
Yeah, the terrain's pretty straightforward. I think it's nothing unusual for us to get worked up about.
Okay, you sign off. Hush, you pull yourself to your feet and stride through the grilled deck of engineering with the big purple Eidolon drive pulsing behind you as the announcement comes over the tannoy, the automated announcement that entry is imminent, and it's time to strap yourselves in, lift your seat trays, turn off all electronic devices, etc. So you're heading out of engineering and you open up the bulkhead in front of you. They've got one of those big kind of octagonal doors that looks like something off a submarine with a steering wheel in the middle, and you spin that open, slamming the door behind you, and your glowcat kind of slinks through the last couple of inches of the door just before it clangs shut behind you. Mm-hmm. She looks absolutely terrified. Her tail has gone like a bottle brush. Her hairs are all up on the back of her neck. Even those long, fine hairs on the tips of her ears, lynx-like, have gone stark still, and she's pulsing with various colours. And you know that your cat reacts to all kinds of emotions. So you've never seen her like this. What do?
I'll scoop her up. Pearl, what's wrong, honey? And look around to see what's different about the environment. It's just us here. And immediately I wonder if Slack is having problems. So I will divert round to Slack's cabin. Okay,
so you turn on your heel and you move along down the companionway as the engineering department you just left explodes in a ball of superheated plasma. The Eidolon engine is ripped off. You've been hit. The ship immediately goes into some kind of spin. Klaxons start bawling from the various speakers set up around the ship. You've got all kinds of conduits and cables running along the ceilings of this thing, and everything shakes. Some of the fairy lights come down in the cockpit. Deadeye, where you are, the console's just gone red. There's smoke coming out of things. There's all kinds of alarms going off. Engineering's gone black. It's like a quarter of your ship has been blasted off. You've been hit by something from the planet's surface, and you're totally out of control. Hush, you get rolled along the companionway. You end up flat on your face, and your glow cat kind of like licking at you, trying to get you up. Down in the med bay, we've got Splinter. So all of your perfectly packed hypos are now flying around the room all over the place. Jag, your character Mimic, is rolled out of your slumber, and everything's gone wrong. What are you going to do, everyone?
I'm going to immediately set about remedial procedures, damage control, damage reporting. I've been through this before. This is just like Nebulon 7 when the hit is on the way in. So, and I made it through that one. I can make it through this one. I'll be saying to myself, as there's no one else in there, I mean, Fletcher says, we can make it through this, guys, even though I've not turned on the intercom. So I'm going to rely on my skills and training to try and stabilize the vessel so that I can bounce us off the atmosphere and get us down in a reasonable shape.
Okay, fantastic. Right, time for some rules. We're going to open up with some optional rules in the game. We're going to do a scene challenge, and this uses one of the core mechanics of Starforged, which we're going to open up a progress track. I'll take care of that in the background, but essentially our party now needs to accumulate 10 ticks on this progress track to achieve their objective. They can go for less, and they can push their luck and try and get away with less progress, but we're also running a tension clock in the background as well. So as things start to go wrong, there's a race. So, players, you are in a formidable situation, which is not going to be easy at all. What's your objective here? Could I suggest stick the landing, or if you have another objective in mind?
Get down safely.
Get down safely is going on my notes. All right, I've set up your progress track. You need to achieve as many successes on that as you can before your clock runs out. So I think, Deadeye, you were saying you were going to grab those controls and try and fly her home, yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so each character's got 5 stats. You've got Edge, Heart, Iron, Shadow, and Wits. It sounds like, from what you've been talking about, you're using your expertise here, which sounds to me like a Wits roll. Does that align with what you've envisioned?
Yeah, let's do that. This Brilliant. Is trained soldier, go through the usual planetary landing procedures when something goes wrong. So,
okie dokes. All right. Let me describe the core dice mechanic to everyone. You should see on your screens now the total of 3 dice that Gaz has just rolled. So you're rolling an action dice, which is a normal 6-sided dice, for which Gaz has rolled a 4. He's going to add to that his wit stat. So what's your total there?
So I got a 7.
Okay, so that's your action score of 7.
Mm-hmm.
You then compare that to both of those D10 rolls you can see. Those are called the challenge dice. You have to beat as many of those challenge dice as you can. There'll always be 2. And so a 7 beats the 3 and doesn't beat the 10. So if you get a single hit, it's called a weak hit, and that will give us all kinds of answers. But if you get a strong hit where you beat both the challenge dice, you get a different answer. And if you get no hits at all, it's a miss. Okay? So we've got a weak hit from you as you're facing that danger. So you are successful. So I'm going to mark one of the things on your progress track. Okay? But it doesn't go quite the way you want it to. So you're going to get a complication or a setback. And the first setback is that the sprinkler systems that are set up all through the ship are all going to fire at once. But they're sending out, it's not water, they're sending out like flame retardant foam. And that's immediately starting to fill the companionways, and it looks like it's going to go into auto shutting down any bulkheads, so people won't be able to get out of their cabins or move around the ship very easily. Okay, who's next?
I will at this. I'll quickly get on the comms and say, and almost without listening for reply, just report any injured while I'm going on the console trying to override this the bulkhead shutting down, and just maybe vent some of this foam out to try and overcome that so we can get to where we need to be. I'm probably have to go sort of to the out of med bay to do this, so I grab a sort of handful of hypos, and then you see me just open one medicine cabinet and take out an impact pistol and just strap it to my belt out of habit. I didn't even think about doing it. I meant to leave it there, but thought I'd better take it with me. So yeah, trying to just run damage control, but maybe try and make sure that we can still move around the ship.
Okay, so gravity is fluctuating all over the place at the moment. You've got pretty decent grav generators on board the Lodestar, but they have been known to get hinky on occasion, and this is one of them. You step out over the bulkhead door into the companionway, which wraps around the main cargo bay, and you can see to your left and right. You can't see very far before you see the other doors and so on. Most of those doors have got red flashing lights above them now. They're all starting to slowly close like elevator doors. And you've got all of those cables and conduits that I mentioned earlier hanging down, including like, the keypads that are gaffer taped to the outside of your door frame. And the whole ship is shaking, and you feel gravity fluctuating around you as you move out. Now, were you attempting to override that bulkhead closure?
Yeah. I mean, I gaffer taped some of those pads onto doors, so I can ungaffer tape them and undo their shutting mechanism. I'd like to think.
Okay, cool. This is going to be based on your expertise, I think, based on your fiction. So that's going to be a wits roll from you, same as we had from Deadeye a moment ago.
Cool. I'm gonna. Does this count as repairing equipment?
No, not at all. This is facing danger in a scene challenge.
Oh right, okay, that's it. Yeah, it's a different. It's not a move. It's a thing that triggers my gearhead thing. But anyway,
okay. So your gearhead. Tell us about your gearhead stuff.
So when I make a move to craft, repair, repurpose, or modify equipment or technology, add +1, take +1 momentum on a hit.
Oh, that sounds exactly like it's spot on.
Cool. So wits and that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is. I need to beat it, don't I? So that is just a weak hit. Yeah.
If you equal it, it's not counting. So a weak hit. So indeed, you make the progress. You do get what you want. It's still a hit, all right? So it's complex work, and you've got retardant foam spraying on you while you're trying to twist together two wires and pull off gaffer tape. And you're absolutely covered in the stuff. It's like some kind of weird foam party there. And but you do successfully get all of the doors to fly open. The bad news on it is that all of the doors are now open, and they're never going to be closing. So they're hardwired open, all the companionways, everything. What's next?
So I'm going to try and pull myself quickly to my feet and sort of look around through the smoke and the foam. The first time Hush ever left a planet was when she joined this ship. This is all very new to her. And whilst she fears fear rising in her, she's going to try and tamp down on that and make her way to Slack's quarters to check on him, because she has this horrible suspicion that his quarters were too near where the blast were.
Absolutely. Okay, you set out on your journey through the ship in the darkness with the red lights flashing over your head and the klaxons going woo, 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 swashing through the foam, as you realise, to your horror, that between you and Slack's cabin is the brig, and the brig door is now wide open.
And did we have a guest in the brig?
You certainly did. Your very last bounty went by the call sign known as the Grudge, and the Grudge is now loose and aboot the ship somewhat. He was a hitman for the Ebon Blade Pact, wiry as anything, a real veteran, an assassin for hire. You managed to pull him in. He wasn't too troublesome, to be honest, because he realised he was just going to get ransomed. But actually, the guy's an absolute head case. Aggressive, violent, and desperate. And all you can see is that the foam is kind of inching in over the top of the sill into the darkened cell beyond, which is all it's got is the rotating red light above it and the door wide open. What do you do?
I'm going to glance down to Pearl in my arms and just see what Pearl might be picking up.
What colour does she go when something really aggressive with a weapon is just around the corner from you?
Exactly the colour she is now, a kind of dull, throbbing red.
That's what she got. She's hissing as well.
I will begin to back away, fumbling for my comms to broadcast Grudge is loose, Grudge is loose.
Okay, we're going to cut to Mimic. Okay, Mimic, all of that's unfolded in the last 10 seconds. What have you been up to, my friend?
So, with the blast, Mick stumbles, smearing this mascara across his face. He scrambles up, grabs his bag, pulls the door aside, and ends up plastering his face in this sprinkler foam. He's got one thing on his mind: let's get down to the avionics bay, sensor array, make sure that everything there is protected, it's in working order, because we're going to need that functioning by the time it hits the fan.
Absolutely.
I trust in Deadeye, but it's always good to have a backup.
You scuttle through the ship at top speed as fast as you can. You're used to going down holes, and soon enough you're pulling up the grill off the floor and dropping down into the sensor and avionics at the nose of the ship, which is conveniently as far away from the broken Eidolon drive as you want it to be. And down there, there's various things that kind of crackling and sparking. There's little ribbons of smoke coming off of some of the incredibly elaborate equipment down here. And you can feel the heat coming in through the shields of your ship as you're going in through the atmosphere here, and the fluctuating grav as well. What are you going to do when you're down there? Wait for Deadeye?
No, there's obviously some stuff which is kind of, the circuitry is kind of battered a bit. So he's going to try and, there's some blankets, some protective blankets and some kind of fire blankets, those kinds of things. He's going to ready those, make sure that he's protected, and where he can, he'll start putting on some coolers on some of that heating up circuitry just to stop it from overburning.
Okay, so you make your preparations. So we have a move for that in the game. You're trying to secure an advantage by getting your preparations organised. How do you envisage this happening? From what you've just said, it could be speed and mobility, that kind of approach. It could be strength and endurance based, or potentially expertise and focus. Which one do you think feels best for what you've described?
I think in the circumstances, there's something that kicks in for Mimic here. He's used to dealing with traps and this kind of stuff, and he's observing this as if it's like that. There's a puzzle to be solved here. There are constraints and challenges that he just needs to click into autopilot for almost, and so it's wits as much as anything else.
Wits as much as anything else. Okay, so you use your expertise and laser-like focus. Roll plus wits, please.
That is a miss.
Ouch. Okay, your preparations do not go well. You feel a horrible shudder in the ship. Deadeye, something on the console's just gone black again. The landing gear stuck. None of it's coming down. Something's happened down in avionics or whatever. There's a short circuit. Something's gone horribly wrong. Your whole ship now is pitching and yawing because it's supposed to have its landing gear out. And you can see that Morricone, the planet, is getting bigger and bigger in your view screen as you go. For you, Mimic, down there in the hold, I'm going to give you 2 points of spirit damage. So you take 2 off of your spirit. This is tracked along with health and supply as ostensibly your hit points. And this is a pretty demoralizing situation you're in here as you realize that your emergency blankets are also on fire and there's sparks gone everywhere and the lights have gone out and something went thunk deep in the underbelly of the ship that you weren't expecting it to. Okay, who's next?
Happy days. Okay, I'm imagining my chair's kind of on one of those, there's a thing in the ceiling with like a gyro mount on it. So I'm sort of spinning about around this L-shaped console, so I'll take time to like hit the button on the chair to speak to the crew. What specifically say, Splinter, you need to get down to hold. We've got no landing gear. You're engineer. And before he's got time to respond, I'm just straight back. And I'm doing a bit of it like we've got a tourniquet on the ship at the minute where everything's been shut down by the AI for safety measures. But like a leg that's been bleeding, there's a tourniquet on it. Every now and again, you got to let it bleed. So I'm going to be dashing about, like venting gases, letting fire out, opening airlock doors and shutting them again quickly and stuff, just to try and get the balance right and stuff like that of the vessel, even though it does a short-term damage. So I'm relying on my quickness just to get around and like my hands are like a blur across these different bits of the console as I'm pressing buttons and pulling levers and resetting things.
Roll plus edge.
It's a weak hit again.
Oh, goodness me. Okay, so weak hit. You are successful in your endeavours, so you're going to make progress towards your getting down safely objective. However, the tension clock that's been ticking away in the background is now filled. So unfortunately, you haven't made enough progress by the time you then go into pretty much free fall. So you lose control of most of the ship. It's now essentially a massive heavy glider. That doesn't mean you're out of control completely, but as you come down through the atmosphere, there's not an ounce of cloud cover on this planet, and the ground is coming up towards you really fast. It just looks like a big kind of salty, moon-like expanse that's coming in, and you're going to be coming in incredibly hot and incredibly fast. Down in the companionway, I want to cut to Shane's character, to Hush the exobiologist with the cat. What's your situation? What are you going to do?
So I've started to back away, scrabbling for my comms, and then I'm going to turn and bolt towards the closest place I can find a weapon, my quarters, the armory, whichever's closer, shouting into the comms that Grudge is loose, and just sort of stick down, head down, and sprint to try and get a weapon.
Fantastic. Okay, as you do that, you hear the stamp of bare feet on the grill behind you as Grudge comes out of the cell at speed, and he is hot-footing it behind you. And he shouts at you, "You're not getting away so fast. I need to get out of this damn ship. It's a death trap." And he throws himself towards you. Let's see if you can evade him. Okay, so This is going to be based on your speed mobility. So you need to roll plus edge, please.
Edge being not my strong suit. So that is a miss, I am afraid.
No, you fail. Okay, so you're reaching out for a fire axe, which is going to be in one of those break in emergency things next to you, probably your cabin door. Just as you slam your fist into it, the Grudge hits you in the back and takes you down to the floor. In one hand, he's got a sharpened shiv. He must have got a spoon from the cantina the last time you fed him or something like that. And he's trying to plunge it into your kidneys as you roll about on the companionway floor. Your Glowcat leaps over to one side, hissing, and now you're on the ground in vicious melee.
Yeah.
Okay. This calls for another progress clock, just for you two, unless you feel you want to wrap it up with a single roll. You can leave it up to you as the player here, Shane. Do you want to do a one roll battle, or do you want to go blow by blow?
Let's go one roll.
Okay, let's make this.
I feel like this is one of those desperate situations that will be decided very quickly.
Absolutely, this is all going to happen in a blur. So, what's your objective here?
My objective is to get away from him more than to take him down.
Fantastic. Okay, so you are going to be fighting to try and overpower your foe, or to befuddle him, or to outsmart him. Ooh, I've got choices here. What's the stat that you think would be relevant in this situation, mate?
Well, the two things that Hush is known for is her courage and her wits. So she's not fleeing. She is trying to get away because she needs to get to a position of advantage. So, in essence, I think he expects a small girl like Hush to be easy prey, and she is going to fight like a Glowcat. So I'm seeing this as quite hard myself. Just at him harder than he ever expected to try and give pause enough to get away.
Yeah, it's a gutsy move. He's armed. You're half dressed and only armed with a cat. So roll plus heart, please.
Sure. I'm delighted to say that it's a strong hit.
Yeah, it's a strong hit. You get both of them. You beat both challenge dice. It's a strong hit.
Mm-hmm.
You achieve your objective unconditionally, which is a very dry way of saying that you get exactly what you want. So you manage to squirrel away from him, and he's scrambling on the floor after you, and you kick at his face with your feet, and your Glowcat goes and scratches him across the eye as well. He goes, "Ah!" holds his hands up to his face, and it gives you time to scrabble away. Your character gets +2 momentum.
Yeah.
So all characters have a little momentum track. It's all set at 2 at the beginning of the scenario. Shane's character now has +2 to that, and you can trade in that momentum later on if you really want to ace a roll and you're up against it. And we'll cover that if and when it happens. Right, you've got away from him, and it's another chase through the starship. What do you guys do? What's next?
So I think Mimic is kind of partially on fire. He's kind of panicking a little bit. He scrambles at his comms just to kind of meekly, embarrassingly report back what's kind of happened in the avionics bay, the sensor bay, to Deadeye. Really, I'm sorry. I try to help. I'm sorry. And you hear he almost stumble over the threshold as he goes back into the corridor, looking for some of that foam to kind of put himself out of fire.
All that happens. Deadeye, your response?
I'm going to try and keep calm about it all. So I'm going to try and secure an advantage from my crew by even as we drop in the sort of drone shot outside the ship, so they're going cherry red on the bottom from the heat of the atmosphere and all the rest of it. Things are pinging off left, right, and centre. In a very calm, measured way, I'll just say to him, "Look, everyone, it's all fine. I've lived through this before. You'll live through it again. All we need to do is remember training and do our jobs. I don't need apologies. I need action. Somebody's got to get me the landing gear. I'm looking at you, Splinter. Get in there, get that landing gear down. No incriminations, no fingers being pointed. Just make it happen."
All right, you give your commands. All right, so let's see if you can secure that advantage with your command. Roll plus heart, please.
Certainly. I get It's just a weak hit, unfortunately.
Okay, well, a weak hit gets you somewhere. Because this is in the aid of your ally, you're setting up Splinter for his next move. You can choose one of these two options to apply to Splinter. Give Splinter +2 momentum, or give them +1 on the next move roll.
I'm going to... Yeah, +1 on the next move. As I'm trying to direct them to action, so I think that makes sense.
Perfect. Splinter, over to you. You've got a +1 taken forward from your captain's wise words.
I reply, even though obviously Deadeye, I expect has killed the comms. I'm just saying that's just not how tourniquets work. It's the one thing you must never do. Oh, that's what you've done, isn't it? As I'm like legging it down to the landing way. I think this is going to involve me just like actually climbing down and manually having to release them, like cut the cables on them. So it's not even fiddling around on consoles. I'm actually like crawling through a little Jeffrey's tube access thing to try and find the right cables to drop whatever on the bottom of the ship, hopefully including the landing gear, to give us some chance of a safe landing down there.
Okay, you climb down into the underbelly of the ship, down through the crawlways and the companionways. We got all the little cables and the little sort of science fiction version of rats scurrying around down there. You can see Mimic flapping away down at the front of the ship with a blanket that appears to be on fire. Give them the thumbs up, and then back where you are, you're in amongst the landing gear. It's not physically stuck, but the computer systems that make it move up and down are completely fried. The screen's gone black and there's a spider web across it, the one that would normally work. So you're right, you're going to have to start cranking a handle or hit it with a big piece of metal or something. It's going to come down to your strength and endurance. Roll plus iron.
Excellent. Not my strong suit, but I'm going to claim Gearhead again.
You can absolutely claim Gearhead for this.
+4. Right, let's see. And that is a miss.
Even with your +4, the D6 of a 1 is pretty poor. Let's just check in on your momentum score at the moment. Is it still the default 2?
It's 3, because when I succeed on a Gearhead roll, I get +1 momentum. But that,
okay.
I don't think that helps me though, does it? Because you don't add your bonus to momentum.
You do not. No, just checking in to see if there would be any mileage there.
And even if we did, it wouldn't work. Actually, looking at that roll, even by cheating, I can't pass that roll.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, you are undermined by a fairly dire turn of events, and that dire turn of events is your starship crashing into the planet Morricone at pretty much terminal velocity, with no landing gear. And you and Mimic are in the belly of the ship when this happens. Thanks to Deadeye's incredible piloting skills, you manage to level it out and try and use it like a skimming stone across the surface of the planet. However, the ship is going to be utterly wrecked by this massive crash landing. Splinter and Mimic in the belly of the ship are going to lose 3 health apiece. And if you wish, you can try to endure that harm and shake it off, but it may get worse. This is the gamble. Would you like to endure the harm or just take the 3 health?
Maybe we'll try and endure.
Okay. All right, Mimic. So what you do to try and endure this is you either roll your health, so plus health, which is now going to be very low, or plus iron, whichever is higher.
That will be plus iron.
Okay. Guts roll.
That is a match.
It is a match, but is it a hit or a miss?
It's a match. It's a miss, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, you could have a matched hit.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it's 555.
Oh no!
Very close. It's up there.
Very, very close. But you know what they say about near misses? They're as good as big misses, and that's what you've got there, mate. Okay. Unless you have a momentum score that's over 5, which I doubt you do at this point. Yep, you're up against it. Okay, right. So it's worse than you thought. You lose an additional 1 health, or you can lose 2 points of momentum. You do get the choice.
I'm going to take that off my momentum.
Yep. Okay, so the momentum drops down by 2. So in the belly of this ship, even though Deadeye's done their level best, you get the brunt of this. It goes in nose deep into the salty ground. And the ship buckles and tears around you, and you black out from the pain. When you wake, if you wake, you're going to be extremely bloodied and in a very bad way indeed. Hence your momentum going down to what, 0, I imagine, because you are pretty much unconscious at this point. Okay, we have the same deal heading in Splinter's direction. You got 3 health coming your way, a major wound. Do you wish to endure?
I think I glance ahead because obviously Mimic's at the front and see what's happening to him. I think the best way to do it is to just go with it and roll with the crash. That's what happened on Nebulon 3. And
yeah, Nebulon 7 was more
the limp's almost gone after 6 years. Like, it's...
Okay, so you take 3 off of your health. Everyone starts with 5, so that is a major wound. As you see, like the tsunami of buckling metal coming towards you up the crawl way, and bits of Mimic as well. You black out under the pain. Up top, Deadeye, you've been holding on to those joysticks something mad, and you're bringing it in as much as you can. Yours is going to be more stress than anything else, because you're going to try and pull up the nose at the last minute, but there's a lot of stress coming your way. Major stress. Would you like to lose 3 major stress or try to endure?
If I try to endure, what do I roll?
Mechanically, it would be spirit, which has just obviously taken a hit, or heart, whichever is higher.
Yeah, okay, it's the same either way. I'm actually going to take 3 to my spirit because I can see there's like a negative image of the vessel where you can see there's like those black with white lines where all the hull and stuff is down. I can see the crumpling underneath. Where 2 of my crewmates were trying to get the landing gear down, so I think I took it pretty hard in the spirit.
Yeah, and their life monitors are probably going a bit erratic on what's left of your consoles as well. Mm-hmm. You stay strapped in, and you're bringing the ship to a halt. It's kind of slewing sideways into an alien forest, but none of that compares to what's happening with Hush, the small girl who's on the run. You've got the Grudge coming after you with its shiv, but then the ship makes an enormous sudden impact landing and the whole thing is shaken all over the place. Your cost is going to be a mixture of stress and health, 1 of each.
Okay, I'm not going to endure that.
Okay, so 1 point of spirit goes, 1 point of health goes, and the Grudge is in the similar position, but he's still on your tail. So you've still got some live stuff happening here. You're still up and about. What are you going to do about Grudge?
So at this point, I can't just have him chase me around the ship. So if all the doors were open, I'm going to dive into my quarter and try and grab hold of my small impact pistol, the only weapon that Hush has, and turn it on him as he bears down on me.
Yeah, Grudge comes spinning into the doorway as well. You see he's got a set of tattoos all down his face, which resemble that of a barcode, and he's got his tongue out. And that's got a tattoo of a black dagger on it as well. And he's kind of hissing, being all weirdly snaky. He's wearing an orange jumpsuit that you put round him. But otherwise, he's barefooted, barehanded, scrawny, but with this little shiv in his hand. But his eyes are like on the nose of your impact pistol. What do you do? Shoot him with it.
Yep. Hush squeezes the trigger without a thought.
Okay. You want to go 1 roll or make it a combat?
Let's go 1 roll again. I like the tension of it.
All right, fantastic.
We'll do full combat whenever it's involved.
Absolutely. Okay. All right then. So pick a stat that you think works. I mean, I've been following your fiction. It's not really at range, but it could be because you're using environment to your advantage. It could be based on your courage, like last time on heart. You're in close, so you could call iron. It's your choice.
So in this case, it is just turn round, put it in his face as he's bearing down on me without flinching, and pull the trigger. So I see, courage is Hush's thing.
Roll plus heart.
And I will have a strong hit, a convincing but not matched strong hit.
You close your eyes and pull back on the trigger. When you open your eyes again, the Grudge is still standing, but he tips back slowly with a hole in his head about 4 inches across. You can see the other side of the companionway through it as he tips away from you. What little brain he had is now spread against the opposite wall, and you've got a smoking gun, and that's when the shock starts to set in, and you start to quiver and shake as he goes down.
Yeah.
Glowcat goes the colour of concern and nuzzles up against your ankles.
Yeah. I just
Take +2 momentum.
And I'll look down at the pistol. Hush has never shot anybody before. And the hand just begins to shake.
Yeah. You drop it clattering to the companionway and faint. As we fade to black for all of you. Time passes. You've no idea how much time. Very slowly, you open cracked eyelids to an enormously bright sun. You can even see the red of the sun through the red of your eyelids, but when you open your eyes, it goes bright white. It's like you're under a Krieg lamp. It's not particularly hot. I mean, it's warm, and you're breathing, so this is a good start, but you have to shut your eyes tight against the intense glare of the sun overhead. You're planet-side, and you're scattered about in various parts of the good ship Lodestar, which has been rent into 2 or 3 significant pieces. Deadeye's managed to bring her into a forest to use the trees to kind of slow the fall. And one of you would look back behind you at where the Eidolon engine used to be, and you can see a big track through the black trees extending backwards beyond you towards the horizon. There's smoke and fizzing and sparking from various cables and conduits, and you also realize that there's a kind of that noise of groaning metal when you realize with some alacrity that actually your entire ship is balanced on the edge of a ravine, much like at the end of the Italian Job. Who wakes first?
So
Me.
Captain, you've got your chin on your chest, you pull up your head, you're still strapped into your chair. The view screen ahead of you, the kind of the windows of your ship, they're all cracked and sort of blown in and spider webbed. You've got bits of branch and stuff sticking in through that as well, and you can just feel the gravity of the planet. You're at kind of a 45-degree tilt to your left.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, my suit's got its adrenaline auto-injectors, which is why I've woken up before anybody else has, because it's just spiked me in the back of the neck. It's that'll wake you up in the morning. So I'll smash the quick release button on my 5-point crash harness, and then rush to the back. Basically, I grab my go bag, just sling that over my shoulder, and then do the thing where you put your heels over the banister of the stairs going down, just slide down them.
Nice,
if you know what I mean. Because I know that 2 of my crew are like in a bad way at the bottom of the ship, wherever that is. I'm not sure which way is up at the minute, but I'm going to try and head for my companions to make sure they're either all right or to try and get them out of there, whatever needs to happen.
Okay, you move through the companionways. You've got 1 foot on the floor, 1 foot on the wall because of the 45-degree angle. You move through smoke. You scale over twisted bits of wreckage, and the first thing you come across is the broken and bloodied body of Mimic. They're face down. Their legs are bent at an unnatural angle. You fear the worst. What do you do?
If we're not immediately, I don't feel the ship do that when I reach towards them.
The whole thing's juddering a little bit. Yeah, your senses do tell you that you knew you didn't get the landing gear down, so the ship's not stable.
That could be anything. I'm going to assume we're all right for the immediate. I probably know about. I was trained in like battlefield medic or something like that. I've got like basic first aid and that kind of thing. So my immediate response is to try and stabilize Mimic. Right. I'll snap the leg back in the right direction and get a massive splint out of the fire axe that's for some reason on the floor next to him. Strap something around it and other kind of basic first aid things to hopefully get him up and moving.
Yeah. Okay. Mimic, you waken. It's reasonably dark where you are because you're in the belly of the ship. You look up and you see the upside down face of Deadeye, who is staring at you with a look of massive concern on their face. You can only really open one eye. The other one, you'll find out later, is massively bruised and contorted. You can't feel your legs. You're breathing, you know you're alive, but you can't feel your legs. What do you do?
My first concern is it's not my legs. It's that if my eye isn't opening, I've probably ended up with a massive pack of mascara that's kind of gelled it up a little bit. And having seen Deadeye's face there's kind of a look of relief before it's, oh shoot, I haven't got my makeup on, and flossing around to get that stable, and then realizing that actually we're not in the ship, and squinting as I kind of look around. Where did we end up, Deadeye? I'm not registered that I can't feel my legs at this point. I sort of bend around on my arms just to kind of get a bit of leverage at different angles to see where we are, what there is in the forest.
And you try to play with your makeup or like brush your hand away and say, "Don't worry, you're still beautiful." Trying to stop you from plunging your own fingers into this contorted eye socket that you've got at the minute. You're trying to make it worse.
Jedi, roll wits, please see what care you can give.
Sure. It's going to be tough love, but...
Yeah, best kind.
That's actually a weak hit.
Okay, a weak hit. All right. So recovery is going to cost you a bit of extra time and resources. Would you like to lose some momentum or sacrifice some resources?
Let's burn some supply.
Okay, everyone's supply goes down by 2. It's shared supply across the whole crew. You're now down to that. However, your care is helpful, and you can give 2 health. Sorry, 3 health. My apologies, 3 health back to Mimic.
Yeah, Mimic probably looks down to see like not one stim pack or hype on the label. Like there's just like a line of them as I've grabbed like anything that looked like it might be useful and just stuck them all in.
Cool. Splinter, you awaken. Battered, bruised, not feeling great about yourself. You're not far down the companionway. You can see Deadeye hunched over the prone body of Mimic, but you can hear Mimics talking. They are both in conversation. The relief floods through you, but then you feel your own pain. Oh, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm also really concerned because I've just seen Deadeye giving medical attention, and I don't know that like those adrenaline pumps that he drives into himself aren't cleared to use on anyone who's not been
humans.
yeah, not allowed to use on humans, let alone him. And it's fair enough. It's his own choice. But if he's putting him in, as I'm seeing this array of hypos, but I can't move at the moment. So what I'm trying to do is just reach out and get the nanobots in my arm to self-repair, just working again. See if they've got like one last bit of juice in them to try and knit my broken body back together. To do that as I try and heal myself.
Yeah. Iron or wits, whichever is lower.
They're actually both the same, so it's not as exciting for me. I get a +1 on this because I am actually a medic.
Yep, that helps.
Yeah.
You hope.
And that is a strong hit, actually.
With a match.
With a match, yeah.
So when the 2 challenge dice match each other, that's the equivalent of a critical hit or a critical fumble, I suppose. In this case, a strong hit. Cool. You can receive 3 health due to your excellent nanobots.
I'll be shouting, "Don't wait, I'll be with you in a minute."
I'll start walking across towards him and say, "Still got a lot of. You must have knocked him back out of a vein somewhere in the impact." As I like walk up to it. Oh, good God, you're not meant to put more than 3 of those in 24 hours. You just plugged in with 6.
Well, no more for 48 hours, I'll say to Mimics.
Mimic, Splinter and Deadeye are all now together in the bows of the ship. Mimic sitting up, dusting yourself off. The ship lurches suddenly, and the nose goes down and then rights itself again. You can feel this isn't good. This ship's on the move. The whole thing slides a couple of feet, then stops again. Okay, Shane, what's Hush up to? She wakes.
So Hush pulls herself to her feet, takes one look at what's left of Grudge from the crash.
Yep.
And then remembers Slack and where she was going, scooping Pearl up again and wiping a little bit of the leftover fire retardant foam off of the fur. Begin to pick her way through the wreckage in the direction of the quarters, calling out for Slack.
Okay. Slack doesn't answer. As you make your way to their cabin door, you pound on the big button that's supposed to open it. What would Slack have written on the outside of their door?
I'm sleeping.
Exactly right. Okay, but you've seen that before. You have to pull the door open manually, which takes some strength. As you do, you realise to your horror that the cabin, which was up against the outer skin of the ship, there's been a hull breach. Most of the interior of Slack's cabin has been sucked out through a hole about a foot across, including most of Slack. There's nothing left but a bloody smear where he used to be, as the place got depressurized on entry into the atmosphere. Slack's boots and weapons are all that remains, along with just a few souvenirs and other stuff that he was doing just at the moment of re-entry, which is probably playing with dog tags or recording something into a log. Slack's gone, baby. Slack's gone.
So on in amongst the detritus on the floor, I can see his medallion, his iron medallion that he used to swear his vows.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to pick that up and cradle it in my hands.
Do you feel like making a vow at this point?
I do. Because for as much as Slack was the gruff and dangerous one, he was always kind to Hush. He was the one who spent the most time to settle her in. So Hush grips the iron medallion with its star symbol on it, and says, "I will find out who did this to you, and make them pay."
Okay, find Slack's killer is going to be the name of your iron vow. This is going to be a roll with heart. You do share a bond with the rest of your crew, so you're going to add 2 to your roll.
Nice. So that's a whopping +5.
Should be good then, shouldn't it?
A weak hit. Hey, close enough. A hit's a hit.
A hit is a hit indeed. It is still a success. So, on a weak hit, you are determined, but you begin your quest with more questions than answers. Take +1 momentum. What are you going to do to find a way forward? I suppose your biggest question that you have unanswered in your head right now is, what was it that shot at the ship or took it down from space? It definitely came from the planet, but what would that have been?
Sensor logs. That's what we need. Sensor logs. And the last thing before leaving the cabin is I'm going to grab Slack's pistol to replace the one that is now gone.
Yep. All done. Okay. The ship is sliding underneath you. Every now and again, it just gives another judder, and you can feel it in your guts. What are you going to do, team?
Get out. the end that's not hanging over the ravine, of course.
Why? Yeah, maybe that's an obvious move.
Yeah, mission continues.
Scramble back up.
Yeah, nudge to dead end, say, just like Nebulon 3. Still got a bounty to get. We've still got 4,000 creds in the brig, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, let's hope it doesn't turn out like Nebulon 7. Leading mimics somewhat confused about what the hell we're talking about.
Did you mean Nebulon 3 before?
As I'm rejoining the crew and hear them speaking about what's in the brig, they're like, I'm sorry, gang, the bounty's gone.
Well, it was wanted dead or alive, wasn't it?
I'm not sure there's enough of him left to hand in.
Well, let's just get Slack and get out of here. At least we've still got the team together.
And then sort of Hush's face sinks even more. Slack's gone as well. His cabin was breached. And I'll just hold up his pistol.
Never went anywhere without that. Right, well, come on. This ground doesn't feel stable at all. We need to get out of here and find out who did this and make them pay. Make them pay the iron price.
Okay, you're going to make egress from your own starship?
Yes.
Done. Okay, so carefully you pick your way through the shattered starship and haul yourself out of an airlock towards the rear of the ship. You drop down into the clearing that you have made with your crash landing into a salty desert, but you're also within a sparsely wooded area. But these alien woods, the trees are black and glossy, and they contain bulbs and tubers hanging from sickly-looking branches. Some of these bulbs and tubers have been split by your crash, and they are leaking a milky fluid which spatters onto the ground at your feet. Your starship, big as it is 2/3 of the way over the edge of a relatively shallow ravine, but it's starting to slip, and as you jump off and you take some weight away from it, you actually watch your ship as it slides down into this ravine so that it's nose down, and the rear of the ship, the stern, -1 Eidolon engine, is pretty much level with the top of the ravine. So it's just gone straight into a big old hole. There's a dried out riverbed that it's fallen into, and you are surrounded by these lonely looking trees and enormous thick black millipedes as big as your leg that scurry about around the trees, coiling around them and over your feet as you stand. You've got your bags, you've got each other, and you've got a dead ship smoking in a hole beside you. What do you do?
I'm going to look at the panel on my arm, which is not composite steel and other things to protect me. It's just a raw piece of iron that keeps shining by rubbing it. And say, if you haven't yet, and I can see that Hush is like kissing an iron medallion of slacks, I'll say it's time for us to swear a vow that we're going to find out who did this and get revenge. Get revenge for Slack. And I put my arm in the middle so we can touch the iron and we can swear an iron vow together.
Sure. Okay, if the rest of you guys want to join in with that, we can overwrite Hush's individual vow and make it a team vow. It will require a new roll.
Roll plus heart, was it?
It is going to be rolling plus heart, but you do share a bond. So what's the actual name of your vow? Is it to find Slack's killer like it was before, or is it something subtly different or totally different?
Yeah, avenge Slack.
Avenge Slack. That's definitely different. Okay, this is going to be a troublesome iron vow. So we'll set you up with a progress track, and you are going to be rolling plus heart, please, at +2 as well, because Slack was a bond.
Yeah, I get a strong hit that's matched.
Oh, a strong hit with a match. You are emboldened, as is your entire crew. You are very clear as to what you must do next. You can take +2 momentum as captain of this crew.
Yeah.
You get good nods and affirmation from the rest of your crew, especially Hush. Hush, how do you feel about this? You on board with this? So, Jedi said it's going to be a vengeance mission rather than just a location mission or detection mission.
Yeah, they took they took one of Hush's closest friends. She's on board with that.
Fantastic. Okay, Iron Vow sworn.
What's more, because I'm a bounty hunter and I got a strong hit, I get a solid lead and we can mark progress on the quest already.
Fantastic. Okay, and it's a troublesome quest I'd already announced, so that's going to fill in 3 boxes of your 10. Don't forget, we can try to fulfill your vow at the end of your quest, which is going to be based on the milestones that you get along the way. So your bounty hunter instincts kick in and kick in hard. The sensors that you were running on the planet just before you took that hit, you've managed to download the data, and you can pass it in the following way. So your ship was hit by a missile, which seems like a very old-fashioned thing to do, a surface-to-air missile. And you've managed to triangulate where you think it came from. So to the north, through this forest, maybe a day's hike away, depending on circumstances, is a dormant volcano. It's not massively tall, but it's very, very wide. It's like a pimple in the landscape. And this dormant volcano has a big crack running down from the crater down to the ground. And weirdly, this missile was fired from somewhere around that big crack. So it's a huge crevice in the side of a volcano. The missile itself is really old-fashioned munitions. So it was coming like a wire-guided missile. It's something from 20, 30, maybe even 40 years ago. You guys have just come out of a war. This is old-fashioned kinetic missile stuff. So it does seem like a strange thing to be fired from the planet's surface at you. They were more lucky than good to take your engine and Slack's life.
Well, while we ponder this, I suggest in real life we take our intermission there briefly, and then we can come back and head off to find out what on earth is going on, or what on Morricone is going on, probably more.
Certainly. Let's take a break, and we'll go and look after our bodily needs. So we'll take 5 minutes, and you guys will see it as 5 seconds. You've all sworn your iron vow. As a crew, you have sworn to avenge the death of Slack. Call sign Slack, your erstwhile crew member. Sucked out into space, or upon re-entering the great planet Morricone as you hunt your fugitive, the bounty that you seek, the war criminal that you are chasing across this bleak world. The 4 of you stand near your shattered starship, piece of iron in your hands and hope in your hearts. What preparations do you make for your vow?
I'm going to try and bolster my crew again. I'm going to aid them all through my planning. So I'm going to set out, like switching these black centipedes or whatever they're out of the way, moving some rotted fruit with this milky substance with my beat, get a bit of clear land, get a stick out and start doing this is where the ravine is, this is where the driver bed is, that's the volcano or the crack in the mountain, here's where the mountainous terrain is, and set us up with a plan of overland travel, basically. So I'm attempting to aid the crew, basically, as a leader.
Okay, so if you want to make this an aid roll for someone else, from your fiction, this could be an advantage you want to secure just for you, because it depends on who's going to make the next move. So you're going to set out on your expedition. This is making preparations, though. So you'd like to aid someone else in their preparations, or are you making preparations on behalf of your crew?
Yeah, I'm here to help someone else in their preparations.
Okay, fantastic. Using your resolve and command.
Resolve and command?
Which would be heart.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Roll plus heart.
I was looking for resolve and command at the camera.
Yeah, it's not a name of an ability. You never name the stat, never name the move, but sometimes for clarity, I think you have to.
Okay, do I get any bonuses with a bond, or was that something else?
That was something else entirely, I'm afraid.
Okay, in that case, it's a miss.
Oh,
so I'm actually not helping them in their preparations. What I'm doing is busy getting my scale model of the volcano ready and various other things, so I can plan out this route. And they're trying to salvage stuff for the ship and medical supplies and all sorts, I imagine. But I'm probably far too focused on the military action. That's because of the damage to my spirit. What I'm doing is going into planning mode as a military operator, as a way of dealing with the psychological damage I've taken during the crash.
Sure. Okay. Right. Well, you're going to have to pay the price for this, miss. So I think you know that you're not quite as capable as you thought you were going to be when it comes to this, and you're in that zone that you've just described. So perhaps I'm thinking that's going to be just a minor pay the price. I think your spirit will be slightly deflated by this. We're not that back by one. As you look down at some of your in armor systems, like your navigation and your compass and your planetary data, and it's either fritzed or cracked or broken by something that happened in the crash. But you're not going to let on. So none of the rest of the crew know anything about your moment of reflection, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rest of crew, what's the plan?
Mimic's going back to make sure that he's got all of the notes that he picked up. He's got his pack. It's well equipped for this kind of on-world exploration.
Okay.
But having worked out as a group that actually we're dealing with some older tech, he knows that he's got some records and notes from previous activities that have gone on. So he's gonna scavenge the wreck, see if he can find some of those old bits and pieces that give some clues perhaps to the kinds of technologies, opponents that we might be facing down here. This is a scavenge.
Cool. Roll plus wits.
He's aiming to gather information, and as he's a scavenger, he gets +1 to this. And
Okay.
if it's successful, he gets a momentum. It's a 5. It's a weak hit.
Yep.
So he takes +1 momentum,
He does.
but that's it.
All right. You may also choose from these following two things, okay? Oh, sorry, from the one thing. Okay. You can take 2 supply, so you can scavenge 2 supplies worth of stuff, which is going to bring everybody back up by 2 supply.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are in need of a specific item or resource, you can have it, but there will be a problem getting it. So would you like a piece of the missile that hit you?
No, I'll just take the supply for everyone else.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
think that's enough.
All right, no problem. Okay, well, you managed to get everybody resupplied. So you're pulling out bags and you're pulling out kit, weapons, anything that you can reasonably get from out of your starship. It's in pretty good nick as well. So it's all rolled around inside the cargo bay where it would all have been stowed for re-entry. And Deadeye runs a tight ship, so you are all nicely supplied, ready for your expedition. What's next?
I think I'm going to just go to Hush. I notice she's looking a little bit shaken. And say, you hold Slack's pistol like someone who's fired one recently. Grudge didn't get blown out in the crash, did he?
He didn't. Well, he was gone when he did. He got out the brig. He chased me. He tried to shank me. I had no other choice.
First time?
Does it show?
Dead Eye tell you it'd get easier, but it doesn't.
I hope not. I really hope not.
It doesn't.
I don't know,
You'll be okay though. You get used to it.
But I'd do it again in a heartbeat in that situation, but I hope it never gets easy. I don't want to be that kind of person.
No, you really don't. You really don't. Neither do I. Work in progress.
Yeah. Well, I can't just stand here doing nothing. I've got to do something useful. And I'll begin to look around, try and understand this environment a bit based on my research.
Okay.
And what I'm looking to do is understand sort of roughly how the wildlife and the natural situation here works, and I'd like to secure an advantage based on my understanding of the natural ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So that Mimic, who I assume will be navigating us as our experienced Tomb Raider, has an advantage on the journey that we will take.
Sounds great. Just before you do, your little moment of intimacy there. It entitles you both to, if you wish, have a hearten roll.
Nice.
If you wish to try and repair your spirits, you can roll plus heart.
Yes. I'm sorry,
it could get worse.
I'm actually, if it's okay, I'm not going to roll because my
That's
spirit
fine.
is fine and it can only go badly for me. This.
Then in that case, you just bring your strength of character to try and hearten poor small girl Hush.
Yeah.
Roll plus heart.
Yeah. Roll plus heart. Do I have a bond with? Does a bond count for this? For
it would
Splinter?
not count, no.
Righto. So I will take a weak hit.
Okay, all right. So you find companionship and comfort. Your spirit is strengthened, so you can take +2 spirit, which is great. However, you're going to lose a point of momentum.
Sure.
Because as to fit it in with the fiction of what you were saying before, your scientific impulses take over from the moment of companionship that you got with the medic as you get all professional and you holler for Mimic and say, come on, let's get this expedition underway. So you go a little bit cold, which loses you a touch of momentum.
It does. I was distracted.
Absolutely. And then we move to the thing that you wanted to do, which I believe was to secure yourself an advantage for your expedition.
Indeed.
Okay.
So I'm gathering information based on the natural world, so take +1 and increase momentum on a hit.
Okay.
So that is a strong hit.
Very nice too. Okay. So this is going to be successful. So you can have both of these things. You can give yourself. You could pass this on to another player, by the way, because it could be considered
passing it to Mimic to assist with the journey.
Fantastic. Mimic, you got +2 momentum and +1 on your next move.
Thank you.
So yeah, sort of fictionally, we see Hush explaining to Mimic about you can see here there'll be weak parts of the ground. We need to avoid these. You can see where the trees are leaning from the wind. If we approach from this way, we can use them for cover, etc., etc.
Okay. Biology-wise, a xenobiologist or exobiologist, this was a backwater planet, so it's not like there was a lot of research you could have done on the way. But what you did, it's got the usual apex predators. The things to look out for are called sky eels or skeels. If it's all one word, it was hard to pick it out from the data that you saw. That's the apex predator around here, and it really is the only thing that should trouble humans of your size. They're quite big fellas, and you couldn't actually get a visual, which is rare in itself. This was almost an analog journal from 50, 60 years previously.
Yeah, so I'll relay that and just end on the cautionary note of remember, look up. These things are in 3 dimensions.
Okay, so Mimic, there's an expedition to be set, and it looks like you've been teed up to put this expedition together. Are you cool with that?
Absolutely, yeah. Done some research on the way down. Part of his preparation, he knows that we were coming to this world, to Morricone, and he's done his research to find out what kind of terrain it might be. It's probably a little bit out of date, but what Hush has been able to provide certainly fills in some of the gaps that we've got, and it certainly chimes with what he's learned so far.
Okay, give your expedition a name.
This is the Volcano Trail.
Okay. The trail of the volcano. Fantastic. So we're going to set a challenge. So finding a volcano on a desert-like planet shouldn't be very tricky. What would it sticking out the ground quite significantly? So we're just going to make this troublesome. So it's not necessarily easy because it is hazardous terrain to cross. So I'm setting up a little progress track. As usual, it's 10 dots. And troublesome means that on successful expeditioning, you'll be filling in 3 of those as you go. And as this expedition unfolds, that may also go towards your iron vow that you've all sworn as a crew to reach a milestone to get closer to that. Okay, so Mimic, this is your choice, but talk to your crew. Are you going to move at speed? Are you going to keep under the radar? Or are you going to stay vigilant?
We're going to stay vigilant.
Yeah, okay, so envision your approach. What does that look like as you head out into the spindly forest across the salt wastes?
So we know that there are natural foes, these skeels, and that we could be attacked from all directions. We know that there are probably intelligent life forms that are going to be attacking us as well. And what we're kind of looking out for is threats from those, but also if there are existing tracks that might have been well-worn routes, that maybe if there are intelligent life forms, civilizations or CADs, Kurs, then maybe there are some existing routes that we can spot that allow us to not create additional tracks that's going to betray us, that might also give us routes into the kinds of locations or back ways into whatever kind of dominion that we're infiltrating here.
Super. Roll plus wits as you undertake an expedition.
Okay, well, even with the +1, that is a miss.
Oh dear. Okay. All right. So you head north towards where you believe this volcano will be. You can imagine you've got like on your forearm, you've got one of these little hollow projectors where you see the contours of the land around you kind of swirling as you move. Some of it is kind of on the fritz and you get bits of static. There's a strong magnetic field on this planet that might be interfering with it. Whatever, you give it a couple of taps and then move on through the woods. A couple of hours later, the sun is so bright that you've got that kind of weird colour thing going on the side of your eyes. You're having to pull down big, heavy aviators, smoked glasses over your eyes or hoods or whatever it is. It's hot, but not blindingly so. It's just blinding. But the wind is picking up like the metallic salty dust from the surface of the earth, and it swirls around you, and it's really irritating any exposed skin that you've got. So you're going to have to wrap up well against that. As you move towards the edge of the forest and you find yourself moving further and further uphill, you find yourself coming over a rise, and in a small bowl-like compression in the salt ahead of you, you come across a strange scene. There's been a crash here, and there's a vehicle of some sort. It's your best guess that it's a vehicle. It's triangular in shape, which is a bit odd, and it's got canvas flapping over the top of it as well. Whether that was a canopy or something, you're not quite sure. And that canvas is all ripped and torn, and there's actually a body hanging off the side of this vehicle. And the vehicle itself is hovering off the ground about 2 feet. So it's still got grav motors on it. And this body is wrapped in rags or bandages or cloths or something like that. You can't see any skin on it. And it's got its head facing away from you, but the top half of its body is like touching the floor with its hands down, and its legs and lower torso are still inside the vehicle. You see that it was wearing a helmet of some sort. That's rolled off slightly to one side. And the helmet's got a massive laser blast in it, and the back of the head of this thing is a cauterized wound. He's taken a headshot. He's definitely not moving. What do you do?
Make a sideline glance at Splinter and say, we can't just leave this in our rear. We have to investigate it. So I'm happy to lead. Just watch my 6, will you? And try and look after the noobs.
All right. Okay, Deadeye, you're going to explore this little waypoint. So roll plus wits, please, and we'll see what happens. What sort of setup you get.
4. I get a strong hit.
That's exactly what you wanted. Okay, you may choose one of these. You can find an opportunity, so you can ask me for an opportunity, or you can gain progress and mark progress on your expedition rank, because there'll be something helpful here towards it.
I think progress.
Progress.
That's
Okay.
one of our. Let's get it done.
Fantastic. So on your Volcano Trail expedition, I mark off 3 of your 10 dots, because you move down there, all is quiet. Okay. And then what you find is that this thing is bizarrely, it's like a land yacht, but without wheels. So about the size of a dinghy. So it's got a triangular frame on it, and at each vertex, is a little grav generator that keeps it like hovering slightly off the ground. That canopy thing you saw is the equivalent of like a windsurf sail, but the mast had been broken. So the sail is like draped over the driver of this thing, and you give him a tap, and he slides off of the land yacht down onto the dust at your feet. Very dead. There's no flesh left on his body at all. It's a skull that just had matted hair at the back where the laser had burned it in. But he does have clues. This guy is from a tribe, and it's got a navigation computer in there that's kind of got like a home setting on it. So you can follow that back to find out where he came from if you wish, and it appears to be lining up nicely with your expedition. He's come from the place you're seeking, but he's been there a while.
Well, I'll obviously have my my little camera on the side of my hand that's filming all this, and I'll be narrating over the top of it like some kind of Richard Attenborough nature documentary, so they back to people as I go. And you know, the guy's clearly dead, I'll say, and pull the skull up to the camera and that kind of stuff. Really, all the information. So let's I don't know, maybe we could even use this thing. Use Splinter, you're like our engineer, right?
Rolls eyes. Let's have a look at it.
Okay, you jog down the salty slope to meet up with your captain, and as previously described, that's what you've got. Now, it is battered, and there's a couple of breaks on there. Repairable. You've only got to get it moving. The grav generators are absolutely fine on this thing, and there's plenty of juice left in those because they're solar powered, so that's lucky. It's just a question of getting the sail reattached to it, and then of course driving the thing. The bad news is it's kind of set up for 3 passengers at best, 1 at each, 1 in the front driving and 2 on the back, where it goes a bit wider and has 2 wheels at the back. So it's like a trike.
So well, get it working anyway. It might be useful for counting all the fat loot that we get back, as well as our bounty. Yeah.
Fat loot, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
If anyone gets injured, you know, we've got a way of bringing it back.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. You're going to make some repairs. You can do this, and that's going to be rolling plus wits. You are out in the field, so let's see how many points you've got from your repair roll here. So make your move to roll plus wits, please.
So I get +3 because of my gearhead thing. In total, that's a strong hit.
Excellent. Okay. So on a strong hit, you get 3 repair points. Looking at the rules here. Okay. And you can also sacrifice your resources to get more repair points if you want them. And to clear the battered impact on this vehicle, that will take you 2 of your 3. And to give it a point of integrity, in other words, to get it moving, will be another 1 point. So you could get it just about moving with that amount of repair. But if you use some of your supplies, you'll be able to repair other things or make customizations to it.
So say I used 1 supply, would that be enough to like fit another seat on there so we could all...
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, they have to be like riding pillion. You can stick something out the back of it. But yeah, so you can envisage the kind of repair montage as the sun goes down a little bit, but it never goes completely dark on this planet. And as it gets towards dusk, which would be the equivalent of our bright sunshine, you finish your welding job or your soldering or your with your drones and what have you, and you've managed to jury rig this, and you pull the sail up, and it catches the breeze and catches the salt. It's flapping away in the breeze, and you've got yourself a vehicle.
Excellent. We'll get Hush on the like little pillion seat because she's only little.
Yeah, you're riding in the boot.
So while this repair is going on,
Yeah.
I'd like to very quickly examine the deceased. If there's something distinctive, a memento, because clearly they're going to want to know what happened to him. Although it's odd they didn't come out this short distance to look, but just something in case that we can give back.
Sure. Okay, well, you can take your sweet time over this because everyone knows the Splinter doesn't move fast, just thoroughly. Roll plus wits, please.
A strong hit.
Very good. Okay. So you do discover something helpful and quite specific. All right. So you're going to get +2 momentum from this mechanically.
Nice.
So this guy, he's been dead some time, but it's probably, given the environment, a matter of weeks. And he's been stripped clean by the environment and by insects and alien insects, that kind of thing. Looking at his kit that he's dressed in, it is really ancient cloth. And it looks like it's been repurposed from flight suits that have been patched together. Various flight suits from different colours and different parts of command, what have you. But as luck would have it, you managed to find an insignia badge. Bizarrely, this is from the ship's crew of an Imperial capital ship that went missing half a century ago, in the equivalent of Space's Bermuda Triangle.
Wow.
And it was the ship was called the Intrepid, and the mystery of the disappearing Intrepid has been the kind of tale that gets told around Spacer's bars ever since you were a kid. And this dude's dressed in the flight suit of a crew member from that same capital ship that no one has seen for 50 years. It was lost with all hands.
All right. After sharing this, I will prepare for the journey.
Okay. Okay, any other preparations while Splinter is putting together your hovermobile?
Yeah, Mimi's going to have a look around this wreck as well, see whether there's any information that he can glean about what's attacked it, where it's attacked from, and what we might be facing.
Cool.
Any additional threat.
Roll plus wits.
That is. That is, well, with scavenger on gathering information on a wreck or such, it's +1, but it still is only so it's still a miss.
Well, I think we need to talk about momentum at this stage.
Exactly.
You've been racking it up, if I remember rightly. So the rules for momentum. Momentum can increase or decrease during the course of play in the same way that health or supply or spirit can. However, player characters can burn their momentum, which means trade it all in, and whatever your current momentum is replaces your action score, which at the moment is a 2. So if you want to completely wipe your momentum and go back to its reset value, which would be 2, you can then replace your action score with that, and that might give you the success that you wish for.
That is exactly what he's doing. I think he's listening to Hush's story about the Intrepid, and that kind of gives him a little bit more of an inkling about what sorts of things might be going on out here, and that kind of gives him a different perspective with which to review the evidence on site. So yeah, he does. He trades in his momentum to get some new insight.
Okay, is that going to get you a weak hit, I presume?
It's a
you've got
weak
a
hit,
10 in there, and
yes.
you can't beat a 10 no matter what. Okay, right then. So you're going to take +1 momentum back from that. So that's going to push you straight back up to 3.
Yep.
And what you discover is that this thing was this metal frame that Splinter's been working on reassembling. It got hit by some kind of electromagnetic pulse, which fried a lot of its onboard gears and avionics and stuff. They've since rebooted, which is why Deadeye's got the navigational data that they need. But it basically brought it to a halt. And then it's difficult to tell with the body, but Hush has been looking over the body, but something has attacked it with electricity, extreme electricity.
I relay this back to the crew too.
Cool. Are you ready to push on with your quest?
Yeah. I think Deadeye's been looking around for skills and stuff, and when this rumour starts about extreme electricity, he's starting to worry that skills your bursts of bioelectricity out or something like that. So it's keeping an extra vigilance there, but gets in the shotgun seat of the vehicle ready to take off with a weapon in hand.
Fantastic. Okay, so you all load up onto this little land yacht, which is about the size of a small boat. I presume Deadeye's driving.
I was shotgun, but if I need to drive.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Well, I say driving, it's really sailing.
I'll sail. I fixed it.
Yeah, you go for it, Splinter. Okay, so it's a bit weird. You've kind of got joysticks and like a cyclic lever and all of that kind of stuff, but you've also got to man a tiller and like pull on ropes and stuff because this thing has been built out of various bits of scrap. But you know, with a couple of juddering starts, you're up over the lip of the depression and heading out across a salt flat towards the low rolling hills that surround the base of an enormous volcano right in front of you with a jagged black scar running up the side of it. So do you want to move at speed, keep under the radar, or stay vigilant?
I think we want to move at speed, don't we? We want to try and...
Yeah, I was going to suggest that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so you put your foot down and you get everyone to hang on tight. So at the back there, Mimic, you are bouncing around in a jury-rigged bucket seat. It is held on with bungee cords and gaffer tape. But you're feeling good about yourself because you're speeding along and you're getting a bit of cool breeze now. Roll plus edge, please, Splinter.
All right, maybe going fast wasn't such a good idea. Splinter realises.
Floor it.
I mean, maybe I should have been driving as well.
Well, you could be getting some aid beforehand, of course, because there's someone on the tiller, etc.
That'd be excellent.
It's a suggestion.
Well, I've rolled now.
Oh, have you? Oh, is it already there?
That's already hit the table, so let's just go.
That is a
Let's
miss.
go with the roll. Let's roll with it. So what have you got out of that? Is that a weak hit?
No, that's a miss. Oh, no, it's a weak hit. Yeah, sorry.
It's a weak hit, but that's better than a miss when you're driving a vehicle at top speed across the salt plain. Okay, so on a weak hit. Right then, you are going to mark progress. So that's good, but this progress is going to cost you. So you're going to now be up to 6 progress on your progress tracker to get to your location that you want to get. But you're going to suffer costs en route, okay? So would you like to face a peril or would you like to suffer some costs? I'll give it to you. Suffer costs or face a peril?
I think maybe suffer costs. I think as we're speeding up, because I think if we face a peril, we'll just run away from it. But that'll cost us some stuff.
Okay, right. So you suffer some costs. All right. So what happens is that the bucket seat that you bungee taped to the back of your vehicle, as you're bouncing around on this salt plain, it comes loose, and Mimic goes flying through the air behind you, and then drops down. And then you've got like a long bungee cord connecting that bucket seat to you. So she's now essentially water skiing on the back of this yacht, which causes you 1 point of spirit as the driver and causes Hush 1 health. As you crack down, you're holding on to basically a rope off the back of this land yacht as it speeds across the salt plain.
Yeah, I think you said Mimic that, he meant Hush.
Yes, sorry, I meant Hush. Yeah, absolutely right.
I think I'm just going to let go. Pick
So you
myself up.
tumble across the salt as the land yacht speeds on, and you come up on your hands and knees, shaking and spitting out salty dust as it forms a smaller and smaller land yacht as it races away from you. Hence the stress on behalf of Splinter, who is struggling to bring her round. What do you do?
I will just slowly begin to walk in the direction of the land yacht, expecting them to come back.
Well, this might involve a slight retcon, but
We love a retcon.
I'll throw it out there to see if you think it's proper. I've got an armoured ability, so sometimes I can rely on my armour when I, for example, react to the fire or face danger.
Yeah.
So is there an opportunity for me to throw myself out on the bungee line to grab Hush and just rely that my armour will soak up all the battering that I take off the salty landscape as I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're facing danger is the equivalent of like a save in D&D, something like that. So, so it's exactly the right thing to go for. And it sounds like you're going with speed, mobility, or agility, which would be an edge roll in your case.
Sure. So I'm going to roll my normal dice, but instead we'll ignore the d6 and replace it with a 4 because I'm using my armour.
Nice.
Which might be slightly worse.
Oh.
What are you going to do? But it is still a weak hit, I think. Let me just check my bonuses and stuff. Yeah, weak hit.
Okay. So you succeed, but not without a cost. All right. So just as Hush is about to go flying off the back, you reach out with your armor. So how does your armor get her back? Have you got, I don't know, Mandalorian grappling hook?
Yeah, exactly that. Like a wire fitted out. In fact, I'll jump up backwards and shoot the yacht and like grab hold of Hush, so we're both hanging by this sort of steel wire that's now embedded in the back of the yacht.
Fabulous. Okay, lose 1 point of health for yourself from the strain of hanging on to Hush and the land yacht. And exactly what you envision has happened. Okay, what happens next?
Mimic shouting out just to slow down for a minute while we to Splinter, while we kind of get everyone back on board, and is making sure that the hook doesn't fall off or come loose, and will help to haul the pair of them back on.
Okay, no problem. All right, so you're going to be trying something risky yourself by doing that. Okay, this sounds to me like this is going to be a wits roll for you. Please, Mimic.
Wits, yeah, okay. Or iron, maybe?
Iron would be strength, endurance, or aggression.
Usually strength to haul us on board.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sold. Iron it is.
I mean,
absolutely serves you right. Okay, right then. I'm gonna give you a success. Okay, even on that terrible roll, but there is going to be a dire turn of events, which is stacking up on my little post-it note of doom, which is slightly offshot. All right, so stuff is happening as a result of that. But you do get what you want, but you know you're going to have to try and style it out in front of everyone else because it did not look good.
Yeah, he grabs this grappling hook. This is obviously it's attached to the captain's armor, and he's pulling it up, and he's actually shredding his hands as he's trying to get them both back on, and as he pulls them both back onto this makeshift vehicle, they kind of clamber on, and he kind of looks down, and there's just blood everywhere, and the first pit that he notices it is when maybe when Hush is just getting back on and slips on a little bit of this blood that is seeping from him. He's feeling more kind of embarrassed, more weakened by this as it is, but he's kind of emboldened a little bit that at least he's got the guys back on the ship. But yeah, everything has gone bad today. This is just
That's a bit.
not one to write home about.
It makes the dream work, I'll say, somewhat unhelpfully.
Hush, you are reunited with the Glowcat, who was giving off the colour of extreme fear, which is what you were feeling as you were flying through the air before you got caught by your captain. But her colours subside as you rejoin the crew. Splinter, you brought it back down to like walking pace while all of this is happening. How do you want to undertake the rest of the expedition? Do you want to throttle it again, stay under the radar as you're getting closer to your expedition end, or stay vigilant?
I can take the wheel if you want me to.
Or hand over the wheel to someone competent.
I think at the first thought of there being blood everywhere, Splinter realises a chance to actually pursue her normal, actual calling as a doctor, and so gets the bandages out quickly before Deadeye gets there.
Start pulling out some needles.
Give them here.
Maybe
You take the wheel.
All right, you stick it in neutral and you hot seat it between the two of you as you shove your way through to the back there. There's Hush, there's Mimic. There is some blood. It's nothing too serious, but you reckon you could probably show off a little bit here. Okay, do you want to provide care?
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Okay, if anyone's lost any health, then you can have care provided by Splinter, who will be rolling plus wits.
That is a matched strong hit.
Oh, wow. Okay, they're probably better than when they started. Okay, so plus 3 health is available, which I think if you want to, you can spread that around people with that single roll, if that helps, which should give us the equivalent of like that matched hit. That seems like a good fictional thing to do. So at speed, you manage to apply the analgesics and all the other bits and pieces, and you can spread around 3 points of healing to your crew.
I'll take one if that's right.
Yeah.
I pulled my back in that activity there. We can spread some deep heat from behind me or whatever else you need to do to kind of get the muscles.
You imagine Splinter giving Deadeye a massage at the helm.
Get the elbow in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I heal some spirit as well for healing other people. So.
Oh, cool! All right, that makes you feel better about yourself.
That's it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this has been a perilous journey, so I want to make sure we get there fast now.
Okay.
So once I'm sure everybody's strapped in, I'm just going to hit it as hard as we can.
Popping everyone's sutures.
Whiplash.
Right, you take a second to acquaint yourself with the controls of this thing, then you find some levers and you just shove them forward with everything you've got. Roll plus edge to move at speed towards the volcano.
What could possibly go wrong? Roll plus edge, you say. Okay, it's a weak hit.
Okay, all right. So you've got progress, which is now taking you up to 9 dots. So you're there or thereabouts, essentially. Okay, but you would suffer costs en route or face a peril. I'm gonna tell you what's happening. I'm gonna fulfil my job role as a guide here. So what I'm going to say is this: so you're coming into the lowlands of the volcano. So it starts off as a very gentle incline, and your hover vehicle takes it no problem at all. But you're moving up through rockier ground now. And as you're moving up the bleached white slopes of this thing, looking for that black crevasse that you saw from a distance, which as you get closer to it is actually harder to see, bizarrely. You're navigating around at speed, trying to get there as quick as you can before you're spotted by anything. And there is a migratory herd of essentially floating jellyfish that is moving down the slopes of the volcano. These things are kind of pink and grey. They've got gas bags, maybe a size of your torso, and they're hovering about 6 or 7 feet off the ground. And there's a big mat of them, and they're trailing down the hillside like sheep returning to their huts at night. And they're trailing violet sparking tentacles along the floor behind them. There's a mass of them, and they're coming down the hill, not particularly in your direction, but cutting across where you were going to go. What do you do? Is you come up to a halt, I guess, and then what do you do?
Hush, this is your area of expertise, I say.
Yeah. Looking at them and how they're acting and taking cues off of my Glowcat's ability to sense creatures' emotions, I want to see if I can figure a way to push them away from us without harming them so we can make a route through them.
Okay. All right. That sounds cool. So let me think about that for a moment.
I mean, I figure I'm probably looking to secure advantage for the driver to get us through.
Brilliant. I think so. And this is with your expertise?
Yes, I think it is, yeah. My naturalist will kick in here.
What does naturalist provide for you?
So that gives me when I'm securing advantage of gathering information using knowledge of life forms or ecosystems, I get a bonus. Now, is this a charged enough situation for my Glowcat ability to kick in, giving me a bonus for the emotions of the creatures, or are we still in a kind of relaxed enough state that won't apply?
You haven't been relaxed for about 5 hours. With your crew. This has been like living on a knife edge this entire journey. So it's certainly charged. I think so. Yeah.
So I can add my Glowcat's health of 3 to the roll, so that will be a momentous plus 6.
Wow.
Never said the number.
Never said the number before you.
And
That's why you never said the number.
Let's talk momentum, because I have crept my momentum up to 9.
Wow.
So I would like to trade that momentum in for a weak hit rather than a miss, please, because I think we've had quite enough misses today.
Trading in 9 for a weak hit feels like punishment.
It's better than a miss, though.
It does, but we've had enough misses, I think, that we're too far on the back foot.
No, I agree. So burn your momentum. That's going to bring it all the way back down to 2, but now your 9 is going to convert into that weak hit, as you say. All right, so you've got either +2 momentum from this or +1 for your next move, because what you find is that these things are, the only name they have is like a slang name. They're called gas bags, which isn't very, it didn't take a lot of innovation to come up with gas bags. These things are migratory creatures They're pretty dumb, but there's a little element of hive mind to them. They've got like an empathic link that keeps them flocking together. The only thing that puts them on the move at the speed they are going is they're probably being guided by this planet's equivalent of a sheepdog or some kind of predator. So they're moving sort of in a zigzag position, and they're coming towards you, whereas they would stay away from, like, people, technology, that kind of thing. So they've got the fear up them. Something's got them jittered. They're worried. So something's driving them forward that's unseen to you at this point.
Yeah, and it's something they're more scared of than us.
Yeah.
So they're not the biggest concern.
Absolutely.
Cool. But they don't look dangerous to us, one would assume. We
No,
can make
no, no, no,
our way through them. Right.
They can give you a mild shock, I suppose. It'd be like walking into a flock of sheep. You might get kicked or jostled.
Cool. I'll relay this and just say, right, keep your eyes. The only predator I know here are the skeels, and if they're more scared of them than us, there might be one of them coming. So look up.
All of that happens. What do you do?
Well, I'm trying not to make a driving roll again, but I think that's might be what happens here, unless you two other guys want to hear something. I think we just try and go with the flow. So that might take us a little bit away from the volcano or whatever. I'm going to try and follow the ebbs and movements of these creatures. Rely on my companions to be looking at the back, if they see anything dangerous, or this velocity of a direction of travel, they can clue me in, so I can keep going with the wave of these jellyfish gas bag things.
Okay. All right. No problems then. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep up with the flow of these things and kind of jink your way through them to get past them. Yeah.
Yeah, almost like a part of the herd or whatever. So we're not threatening, they keep in the same direction and stuff.
All right. I'd like you to roll plus shadow, because this is actually a little bit tricksy to move between these things, because your hover vehicle is just underneath the height of a gas bag, so you have to move through some tentacles and try to avoid them as you go through like a dodge them. Don't think we've had a shadow roll yet.
No. That's bad.
Is it?
Oh.
No, it's not bad, because I get +1 because of my head that I got. Oof. Just on the night, that was going to be utterly terrible. Instead, it's a match success, so it's actually brilliant.
You snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Fantastic, mate. Okay, take +1 momentum. And your match success means that you get some luck on your side and some expertise as well. You really got to grips with the control of this thing. And you exit the other side of the migratory herd further up the slope. And as you coast it round on a drift, you find yourself at the mouth of the crevasse, and looking behind you, you can see a squadron of 3 sky skeels, pushing that herd further and further downslope. You've evaded their attention. They've got to be 20, 30 feet long, silvery eels flying about 6 feet off the ground, with like a massive underbite and one of those kind of anglerfish lights hanging off tendrils over their heads as they're sinuously moving in and out of the gas bags and pushing them downhill. You've evaded them completely. The sun is now behind the volcano's crater, but the place is still pretty bright. And you find yourself at the start of a crevasse, which looks almost man-made. It's like some enormous titan has reached into the ground and pulled it apart, as if it's trying to split the ribs of this mountain. Deep within the crevasse, further ahead, so it turns into much more like a canyon as it gets deeper and deeper as you would move in. You can see lights strung up on wires, the beginnings of a shanty town made out of scrap, corrugated stuff, iron, steel, wood, barricades, strange painted symbols on things. No signs of life at this point, but you can see the glint of lights off in the distance. It's probably half a mile or more into this canyon before you would reach the outskirts of that thing, but that's what you see at a distance. What do you do?
We're going to park up our vehicle behind convenience, either petrified trees or boulders or whatever. And I think we have to wend our way in, but I'll just take Splinter aside for 1 second as my old army buddy. And so I'm not sure about this. I think we're riding a look. I can't see another alternative but to go ahead, but we dovetailed the two, but I'm just not feeling confident anymore. I think that was lucky with those skills then. We nearly lost Hush off the back of the vehicle. I'm worried it's going to be like Nebulon 3.
You mean Nebulon 5?
There's only going to be me and you comes out of this, I think. Like, I need a bit of, no, like his voice just cuts off. It starts to crack, and you hear him just. All you can see through is the helmet reflecting back at you. But
I think there's a crack on the side of your shoulder. It's like pull yourself together. It's not going to be Nebulon 3. That was war. This is just some people in rags on like gesture towards this like scavenged yacht. Like that was an army we're facing. What we've got to do is get in and like Mimic and Hush are pretty good. Hush has seen some action now.
you know what? You're right.
Someone's taken
Right.
that girl took out the grudge. I wouldn't have fancied myself going toe to toe with him.
No, you know what? You're right. I like punch you back in the shoulder, going, "Let's frack these people up. I've had enough of this. Let's. We're riding a lot. It's not out. We haven't like reached the apex and come back down the other side. We're still on our way up. Let's do this thing."
That's
Because
how
the
luck
whole
works.
chest
That's how luck
bump
works.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. With the arm, I go flying.
Yeah.
Are you? It feels like you're sharing some intimacy here. You're trying
Yes.
to hearten yourself. Okay, make a roll plus heart, please.
I mean, I might end up more depressed by the end of it.
Well, given your reactions from Splinter, it could be
Let's
worse.
see. I get a weak hit.
Okay, a weak hit is not nothing. So you can take +2 spirit.
Yes, please.
Okay, but you will lose a point of momentum because obviously you pause to do this.
Yeah,
All
that's fine. That's
Okay.
good. That's almost now.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I'm quite. Again, I'm not rolling. I'm quite heartened. Fixing stuff.
Exactly.
And hearing people just cheers me up.
Right, I want to push you to make this roll. I'm going to sort of step in as your guide here because I think we need to come to a conclusion. So your expedition is at an end, is right in front of you. But let's see how you've gotten here so far. So we're going to, for the first time in this session, we're going to make a progress move. So on a progress move, we don't roll the d6. We don't roll the action die. What we do instead is we use the amount of filled in dots you've got on your progress track, and we apply that to the 2d10 challenge roll. The good news is right now your expedition for the Volcano Trail, as led by various of you at various points, is on a strong 9. So it's as if you've rolled a 9. So it doesn't matter who it is. You can't spend momentum on this or no +1s or anything else like that. Who wants to roll me 2d10 and we compare your 9 to it to see how your expedition comes to an end?
And we shall roll some dice.
2d10, please. Challenge dice only.
How about a strong hit? That sounds good.
It should be with 2 9s. Excellent. You reach your destination. Now, behind the scenes, if we're playing full fat Starforged, everybody would have some cool little tracks on their character sheets, which would be the equivalent of like their experience points. And at this point, you'd be marking a reward on your discoveries track as you find this lost settlement in the crevasse of the volcano. You would be getting 1 tick on there because it's a troublesome expedition. And you would also be clicking progress on your Avenge Slack trail, which is going to take that up to 6. And what we'll do is we're going to roll the credits at this point as the 4 of you on foot make a move down the crevasse to the settlement called Osseous, and maybe next time we'll find out whether your Iron Vow is fulfilled or forsaken.